weeks, but it's great to be back in Australia, and we should be mandatory for every fellow over the age of 18 to go away from the country to come back and just appreciate what we've got here, as long as we don't screw it up with the stupid industrial situations we've got going. Anyway, enough of that. I'm talking about rugby league. We've got this France-Australia match on for you. The first test played at Avignon after a lot of hassle, believe me. Dealing with the French is like dealing with people from another planet. And we were very lucky to get the tape here in time. Anyway, that apart, we've got it here. I've put a voice track on it. You'll see some very, very good football from the French side. They are by no means as weak or pussyfooting around as the English sides were. They get stuck in, well and truly, and they were a little bit unlucky not to score a few tries. The venue is Avignon. The two teams, Australia, France. It's a scoreline that you know, but I won't repeat now. Take it from me, it's a good one. Hello and welcome to the first test between Australia and France, the venue Avignon. At the moment, the French national anthem is being played, the Marseillaise. The teams are both on the field, and we'll pause at this time. Proclaims the fact that the French side are G'd up to do battle with this all-conquering Australian team. Avignon is a city in the mid-south of France. It's got the signal credential of being the only city where a Pope of the Roman Catholic Church has lived outside the city of Rome, Avignon, back in the Middle Ages. The referee in today's fixture is Mr. Robin Whitfield. And here he is with the ball. He's from the Widnes Club in England. He's been a referee for 6 years. He's 39 years of age, and this is his first test match, one of the bright up-and-coming referees of the English Rugby League. I think it should be remembered too that the 1978 French side in France at the tail end of the Kangaroo Tour of that year was successful in both tests. Another very pertinent factor in that win, in those wins, was the credential that they had French referees. Now, this is the first occasion there will have been a neutral referee in a test match in France between Australia and France. Max Krilich, the captain of the Kangaroo side, on the left, and Joel Rosenbroek of the Villeneuve Club, lock and captain. And he is a very experienced player, having played 17 tests for France. He's one of two players, the other, Henri Daniel, one of the props, who's played 17 tests. There's one player in the team, Patrick Solal, playing in the number 2 on the wing from the Toniens Club, who's playing his first test. Steve Rogers with the ball. It's interesting that people pay very, very heavy prices to get into their sport over there, so a 7,000 crowd is still going to bring a fairly good gate. Kangaroos G'd up to keep their magnificent record, as we've had some explosives go off at the start, and France in possession and just pegged off inside their quarter. Running through the French side, the fullback is André Perez of the Toulouse Club. The wingers are Patrick Solal and Philippe Foucard. The centres, Jacques Griek and Guy Delaunay. The 5'8", Hervé Guiraud. The halfback, Ivan Gresk. People will remember him from the last French tour. Henri Daniel, Christian Macali and Max Chantal are the front row. The second row, Marc Ambé. Guy Lassogue is the other second rower, and Joel Rosenbroek is the lock forward. The Australian team, Brentnell, Kenny, Rogers, Meninga, Bowstead, Sterling, Lewis, Pearce, Boyd, McCabe, Morris, Krilich and Young. Lewis has taken over the 5-8 role. And France won't be afraid to kick. They frequently do this in their general club football. And Frank Stanton very keen to keep his side winning. And there's a telemation of the French side that I've already given you. A mixture of great inexperience and some experience. The two 17 Test players, Rosenbroek and Henri Daniel. Steve Rogers weaving around there, some loose passing as Lewis has it. Australia already being involved in tougher defence by this French side than they've experienced anywhere in England. Pilic. Sterling getting a right foot to that. Looks as though it might just be out. Yes, about a foot. Idea was right. The execution a little bit off. Play comes back and Sterling calling for the ball there, not getting anyone to get it to him. And the French winger, Philippe Foucard, obliges. Scrum midway between the halfway and the Australian quarter. Penalty against Sterling for incorrect feed. And this will be an opportunity for France to get into a good attacking position. There it is, just inside the Australian quarter. Now, Australia's defence has been absolutely superb on this tour. They've conceded precious few tries and scored a massive number of points. Henri Daniel. Tackler there, McCabe. Christian McCarley. Guy Lassorg, an attempted field goal by Grest. Ricochet, Sterling comes in and this is going to pass away to Brentnell, who's submerged under French defenders. That was Hervé Guiraud. Pearce, one of the great successes of this Australian tour. Pilic to steal those precious yards. Only about 15 metres out from their line. Crowd very vocal. You might hear a chant that the crowd set up from time to time, and they're calling out Allez le Bleu, which is come on the Blues. The Blues applying mainly to the fact that the French uniform has got so much blue in it. Meninga playing on the left flank and taking a power of pulling down from that long Lewis pass. Lewis must be surely one of the most accurate passes of a football and longest passes of a football I've seen in contemporary rugby league. And that's the 6. The referee allowing play to go on a little bit there, the wrestling and so forth, but obviously he thought Lewis might pop the ball. Scrum just outside Australia's quarter. About 17 yards in from the sideline. Sterling to feed. Out Australia's side. Pearce standing off. Running with enormous vigour. Lewis again. Les Boyd sporting the start of a beard there. A little bit of knees going in there. You'll see the French side. There's good defence. That is top stuff from Max Chantal from the Villeneuve club. Prop forward. Now the Kangas move it wide. Rogers has a marvellous tour, Rogers. Brentnell. Craig Young pops the pass up nicely. And Pearce gets a fairly heavy knock there. He's going to be told that you mustn't do that. That was a attempted trip. And it's in the French technique or method or character, however you want to put it, that they do use their feet quite a lot and their knees. All right, get back the required 10 yards, says the referee. Les Boyd in the second row for Australia. He played in the front row on the tests in England. Brentnell. Krilic. Swung to the ground. This French crowd will love the Kangaroos if they can get that razzle-dazzle football going where the ball's kept alive through 8 or 10 pairs of hands. But the main object, of course, to win. Pass knocked down. Sterling wrapped up. May not be 6 to go. I thought Krilic's arm was knocked, not the ball. Craig Young. Kenny. Rogers. And that's the different looking French defence. Up very, very quickly, Jacques Gouy. And wrapped Rogers up straight away. Craig Young. Nice pass to Pearce. Pearce nearly through the gap. Into the French quarter. McCabe. Lewis, a long pass. Sterling, an equally long pass. Out to Kenny. Kenny's got support on the outside. Takes the tackle himself. I think he should have unloaded. And a movement that looked promising came to nothing. Meninga waiting on the outside for that pass. And Krilic signifying there that that's 6 to go. That is the 6th tackle. A little bit of nerves perhaps from Kenny at that stage. He would have done a little better, I think, to unload. Whether a try was on, a moot point. But certainly Meninga was given side space. We'll have it again. About 9 minutes gone. No score in the match at this point. And France come up with the ball. Gress. Jacques Gouy, the centre, wrapped up there midfield. Rogers with an assist from Pearce. Good tackling there. 3 Kangaroos in hard. The crowd usually whistle when they show displeasure, so obviously they didn't like the tackle there on the Frenchman. France showing a little bit of understanding there, starting to make some inroads through the Kangaroo defence. That kick from Gress to halfback is looking very, very good. That's a good gain of about 38 metres. Crowd applauded. As many of these French players were formerly rugby union men, where the kicking is more frequent, shall we say. Scrum now with Mr. Whitfield, the referee, telling Sterling how he wants it, and a penalty for an incorrect feed. Sterling has earned the ire of a number of referees on this tour with his method of feeding the ball, and I'd say that he is a full Rugby League Australian international now. He knows all the tricks and prepared to use them. Chantal wants it played again, the referee. He said that the opposition weren't back the required distance. Krilic's the tackler. There's good low defence there by McKay. It came in right around the legs. Gave Mark Ambe nowhere to go. Referee's seen that the Australian side, I think he's penalising them for inside the 5, and it's going to be a kick at goal. About six captains out there, according to the way the French side are yapping away. But their goal kicker is Andre Perez, who's only a young fellow. He's from the Toulouse club. He's played 4 tests and a bit of a lightweight. He's only, I think, under 10 stone. Quite a good defender. Although I hear reports that he's not all that great with the ball in the air, but perhaps we're spoilt with Greg Brentnell, who so rarely drops a ball that's kicked to him that it becomes a shock whenever he does. So after about 13 minutes, France through Perez, their first opportunity to score. Strikes that hard. The roar proclaims the fact that France hit the front and they lead 2 points to 0.
Business may not always run smoothly, but a successful businessman knows how to steer clear of trouble, which is why so many of them swear by the Mazda T-Series. With fuel costs going up, Its split shift in diesel is very good for business. And the tilt cab makes servicing so easy, you'll hardly be off the road. The Mazda T-Series, because you don't just run a truck, you run a business.
They sailed out here in chains on ships that have hanging for steel and bread. And the reason that we're here today is those that went ahead. Whoa, I wanna go back to early times, go back in history. I wanna go back to old Sydney town to find out why I'm in. The fight and the skite and the downright delight, and I wanna go back to see the women and the men who way back then started my history. I wanna go back to old Sydney town. 'Cause I'm an Australian.
What do these young people have in common? They belong to one of more than 260 clubs throughout Australia and are part of the world's largest young people's organisation. If you're between 18 and 40, you meet the only membership requirement. For further information about the Australian JC's Club near you, telephone this number now.
Pearce playing with that headband, keeping his ears locked in against the side of his head. Might be the start of a small cauliflower there. Well, that one again, the referee not happy with the way that scrum collapsed. Gresk plays the halfback in the French side, plays always with the jumper out and with the socks down. Well, Joel Rosenbrook, the captain and lock forward, came out of the scrum very quickly to fall on that. Gyla Sorg, second rower, facing sideward as he plays that. Great defence by Lewis there, stopped Max Ambert in his tracks. Nowhere to go. Last tackle coming up. Gresk back to Perez, right foots it downfield. Bowstead half volleys that nicely, uses his pace now, links with Brentnell. A long lobby pass that's ricocheted off a French player, it's gone to Kenny. It's a pass back inside to Meninga, the referee's pulled it back. No, I don't agree with that decision. The pass I thought was correct, but it ricocheted off a French defender and went forward. And that should not have been a penalty of distance against the Australian side. (2-0), France leading, a penalty goal to Perez. Well, France come up with the ball from that scrum. Up comes the Kangaroo defence very smartly, and allegations of knees being used there. And the referee very adamant about that, and very adroit at giving the signal to indicate it. On the halfway line then, Gresk. Looks a run around. Not short of ideas, but they haven't tried their three-quarter line with quick hands. That's something that we've yet to see. They're pretty well drilled at running wide, turning the ball back in. They've used the kick, much more variety in their play than the England side. Christian McCarley. He played in the last team out to Australia in '81. There's the right foot kick. Goes to Bowstead on the full. Blades one tackle, manages to get his pass away to Brentnell. Starting on a good run, beats 2 or 3 tackles, collides with one of his own players. A gain of about 18 yards. Krilic, Young, Sterling, caught with a head-high tackle. Krilic waves his arms in annoyance. Boyd comes boiling in. Krilic pulls Boyd out of the way. Says we don't want any dramas. Let the referee do the penalty. And the penalty has gone to Australia. And Krilic waves a very fatherly figure at the French forward, and I don't know whether he's talking French to him, but he's saying something along the lines, you keep your tackles down or you're going to be in trouble, my friend. We've got ways. Good to see Krilic quickly in on Boyd there, who looked as though he had the blood in his eye and was about to get revenge. Very picturesque ground here with trees all around the perimeter. Back to the football. Sterling, Craig Young, the switch of play. McCabe, that's Shepherd, and quite right, a good decision by the referee. McCabe ran behind one of his teammates, impeded a French defender, and had to be a penalty. Up to 21 minutes, France doing better than many people expected, tackling well, showing much more variety in their play than the opponents of the Australian side have on the tour so far. Frank Stanton may be just starting to squirm a little bit in his seat because his team are being forced into some errors, out of character errors. There's nothing wrong with that defence. Just their own side of halfway, France. The pass was forward. Offside pass. The player receiving the ball in front of the passer. Referee well positioned, and that seesawing action again indicating offside. Brentnell with that big left foot. A gain of about 18 yards. Rod Morris, who's had a quiet tour really. I think he must have come away with some sort of neck or back problem, and it seems to have affected his agility. Good pass, but it's gone astray. Referee says play on. No knock on. Being a little bit generous. The touch judge, I thought, was going to get involved in that tackle. And a penalty against France out, well, way out in the outside centre position. Inside the 5, so Meninga. Chance to level things for Australia. This is on the quarter line, almost midfield. Rowan Hancock, the sand boy for the duty boy for Australia in this match. And the English players right around England are going to remember this fellow, Mal Meninga. He's had a marvellous tour, scored a massive number of points, but he's thundering running and the inability of people to tackle him. He's just coming into his own. He's starting to realise just how good he is, how big and how strong and how fast. Meninga. Up go the flags, and the scores are level after 24 and a half minutes. Australia 2, or as they say, Australie, Francais 2. Kerry Boustead, incidentally, 19th test today, and that's since 1978, and he's only 23 years of age now, so it's an incredible tally. The kick. Sterling, quick transfer of the ball to Boustead. Taken well, good defence. Max Chantal, right round the waist. Craig Young managed to switch the play to Sterling. Jack in the box sort of a player. What a tour he's had. Krilic. Play midway between the Australian quarter and halfway. Rod Morris. Brentnell up over halfway. French defence very solid at the moment, very sound. They're moving up quickly, and there are two of them on the job. And look at that. McCabe driven backwards. Sterling. Rogers. Long floating pass out to Kenny. Bosted. Swung down well and hard by Philip Foucard. Playing in his first test. Pearce comes under a head high. Rogers. Tough stuff there from Rogers, showing his ability and the nice use of an elbow when a player tries to molest him on the ground. Very much the old pro is Steve Rogers, and what a tour he's had. I know that might sound repetitive when I keep eulogising these Kangaroos, but they have been superb on this tour, no question about it. Plenty of chatter on that French scrum. Here, watch Steve Rogers again, the bearded Steve Rogers. Just belts him out of the way. And as soon as he got a bit of attention, you notice where his elbow finished. Right across the chest of the French player underneath him. Rustenbrook. Vigorous. Captain of this French side. Gresk at dummy half. Oh, and a solid bit of defence there with Sterling and Lewis involved. Gresk. Girard. Guy Lasog finished up with it. Turning it back on the inside. Henri Daniel. Little grubber type kick, but Bosted showing beautiful reflexes, came back for it. Got it to Brentnell, who's well tackled again. That was Jacques Gouy, the centre. Bosted. Rustenbrook and Max Chantal doing a lot of defence for this French side. McCabe. Very lucky there with his legs held and still twisting. He might have done knee damage. And there's been, well, he caught us all by surprise there. He's going to award a penalty to Australia for failing to let the tackle player go, but he's might have been a little bit inconsistent with that one. Both sides have been holding down the tackle player, so unless he's going to clamp down on one and be consistent, I don't see much point in it. Rowan Hancock had the misfortune to tear a hamstring in England and missed a bit of football and obviously lost a bit of confidence, but he's back and playing quite well. Meninga, second attempt. Kick of about 35 yards. Referee signalling to one of the French players there, I think telling him to turn around. I don't know what the reason for that is. Nothing to stop a French player or any player standing facing any direction he wants to. Meninga strikes that well. The flags go up, so Australia hit the front after 29 minutes and go to a lead of 4-2. Seven of this French side played in Australia in 1981. Just going through them: Perez, Girard, Gresk, Daniel, McCarthy, Chantal, Rustenbrook, and the reserve player Karavaka. He came on and he's a reserve today. Bosted again. I'm sorry, not Bosted, that's Pearce. Right out on the sideline there. McCabe, Sterling, now Bosted. 10 yards outside the Australian quarter. Sterling, Craig Young, Les Boyd. Offloads to Craig Young. Always got that ability to give the pass. McCabe, I don't know whether he was expecting that one from Sterling. And a penalty against France inside the 5. Australian skipper Max Krilich says Brentnell down the line. And that's a fine kick, taking play to within about 10 yards now of the French goal line. Krilic, Sterling, Kenny. In the burst there was, of course, Boyd. Kenny loses the ball. France have it through their winger, Patrick Solal. Just to their quarter now. 4-2. Australia lead. 2 penalty goals to a penalty goal. Good bust up the middle there by number 12, Guy Lasogny. Ollie Daniel and Gresk taken with a copybook tackle there by Craig Young. A penalty against Craig Young being called over. Get away, Gresk, says the referee. And he's alleging that he trampled on him. We'll see that. There's the pass coming back in. A fine tackle here by Young. A good diving tackle. Takes the halfback. Well, the referee saw something we didn't. Perez, right foots it to touch, hooks it a little bit and fails to find touch. Cardinal Sin, Bozet has it. Starts off on a good run, made a good break. Gets a cuff across the face. And that's a good run, about 18-yard break. Krilic, Sterling, Pearce. Vigorous, hard-running young man, very mobile. There's Boyd taking it up. Krilic, Sterling. Had a handful of hair there, did Guy Lasog. Sterling's hair. Long passing out along the three-quarter line. Rogers, the run around with Kenny. Bad pass to Meninga. Growth has it. Growth has come on, obviously, for the injured Lewis, who was being treated there a while back. Growth takes over on the wing. Meninga's gone into the centre. And Lewis has left the field. He was in some pain. I didn't see him go from the field. Still Australia's ball. Oh, a long and bad pass out there. That's a knock on. And offside, is it? Yes. A sloppy passing there. The Kangaroos are not used to this standard of defence against them. They've been bustled into more than one error. Unforced errors. Rustenbreck down on one knee. When Lewis was injured, he'd effected a tackle on one of the French players and sat down with the arm up holding his shoulder, and the play went on. And frankly, I wasn't aware that he'd left the field, but with Growth on, it's obviously Lewis off. Referee Pat's Grisk on the rear. Well, we can say it now that we're in France, in the derriere. Switching play is Giddo. Good break up the middle there by Christian McCarley, showing a bit of pace. Gets it away to Gresk. A wild pass has gone on the ground, picked up by Krilic. And Krilic comes back over halfway for Australia. Good opportunity for France, but they've blown it. Rod Morris pops a pass up there to Bosted. McCabe, Craig Young, Pearce, Sterling, Kenny, Meninga, Growth in the clear. Growth going hard, comes under a tackle, bumped one of them out of the way, and another weak bit of defence, and Growth's in for a sliding try. Definitely no double movement. He slid over at the momentum of his run, and a frightful attempt at a tackle there by Max Chantel, who went high, and the winger, Solal, did very badly too. They've tackled so well up to now. It's a little bit out of character, that one. And big Eric Growth coming on as a replacement and making a great contribution. And here's the move that led to the try. Pearce's pass, Sterling, Kenny, Meninga, quick hands out to Growth, gets it into the left arm. Watch the terrible attempt at a tackle by number 10 there, at Chantal. And watch too the attempt after the fullback Perez is wiped out by number 2, Patrick Solal. Awful, just hand it off. And the slide takes him the yard and a half over the line. Australia 7, France 2. Meninga 3 yards in from the sideline, 5 yards out from the quarter. Two little ball boys in the background there, avidly watching this massive Australia, watching every move he makes. Strikes it. Unsuccessful, so the score remains 7 Australia, 2 France. Whenever the French people refer to the Australian side, they refer to the Kangaroo. Kangaroo. And it's advisable to let French people in their own country know that you are Australian and not English. So I get the very solid impression a lot of French people don't have a great deal of time for English people. But they seem to cop Australians all right. Bretnell comes through a high tackle, away to Krilic. Krilic nicely to Boyd, then onto the Pearce man, the man that likes to run with the football. Balmain locked forward. Quayance is the referee. Out it goes along the line now. Kenny shoveling it out. Rogers leaves it behind, no knock on. Bretnell swoops on it. There's Boyd. Breaks 2 tackles. Unloads to Sterling. Sterling well tackled there by Jacques Gouy, the centre from Avignon. Morris. Craig Young. He's had a model tour. Sterling. Okay, good sound effects there too. You can hear and a shoe comes off. The effects mic on the sideline picking up the grunt and the groan of the tackle, the power of it. Rogers, Kenny, Meninga, the pass to him was not a great one. And Kenny acknowledges the fact that by hanging his head down there. Time running out for France to get points on the board in this first half. Quite a biggish French pack. They're none of them giants, but they're all solid. Gresk reminded me of David Bolton there, the way Bolton used to stop and start and run again. And there's good defence at the end, but the ricochet goes to Guy Delaunay, the centre, who's picked off by Craig Young on the halfway line. Gresk goes the blind side. Roostenbrook. Got a bit of pace this lad, and he's big. Still going. Penalty. Now I think this is against, I think one of the Australian players is complaining that he considered that Frenchman Roostenbrook tackled and allowed to get to his feet. And the referee has taken umbrage at it. It's to do with chatter, and probably there was an expletive mixed in with it. And as a result, the penalty for dissent. Now Perez with this modified round the corner style, quite a long run back. It gets a fair amount of boot on the ball for such a small man. Strikes that nicely, as if he caressed it. And there's points to France. Australia 7, France 4. And a replay of that kick. Strikes it very nicely. Doesn't appear to try to belt it, just let it drop over. (7-4), and little time now to half-time. French winger Patrick Solal. He's a big lump of a lad. First test, as I mentioned, comes from the Tonians club. On the French quarter now to play. Guy Lesogny, the second rower. Changing direction of play a lot, France, probably a little bit too much. And anytime they turn it back on the inside, it is playing into the hands of this enveloping Kangaroo defence. Little chip over the top for possession, but again, Sterling, that's 4 kicks, 4 times he's taken the ball. Kenny, out to Meninga. Meninga giving him heaps there, playing runs with that giant fend and the power of him. Osted, Sterling, Kenny, pass that bounces along the ground. Pearce, Brentnell, comes out of a tackle and is taken over the top by Chantal. The crowd like that. Krilic wiped out straight away, and the crowd like that. That was number 11, Mark Ambert. So at half-time, we've got a scoreline that reads Australia 7, France 4. The French supporters are elated. Growth a try, Meninga 2 penalty goals, and Perez 2 penalty goals for France. 7-4. Be back in just a moment with the second half of the Australia-France match from Avignon.
Every business has its ups and downs, but a successful...
Australia 7, France 4. And I think it's very true to say this French side have defended particularly well. There's only been the one bad effort, and 2 of their players tackled badly in the growth try. And that's been the only try of the match so far. Australia running from right to left. The only change was the withdrawal of Lewis from the game. I think he's probably dislocated a shoulder. And the inclusion of Eric Growth. And he made his presence felt by scoring Australia's first and only try after about 7 minutes on the field. Craig Young powering forward to the halfway. So this game not won or lost at this point. Still plenty of time. Rod Morris nicely to Pearce, who's always ready to come on the burst, this young fellow. He's so enthusiastic and so quick. McCabe nicely back into Kenny. Kenny tackled on the quarter. The referee getting involved in the play there. Krilic, Sterling, Rogers, Pearce out wide, nicely to Brentnell. Brentnell's pass though to Boasted was ill-directed, straight over the sideline. And Brentnell has something to say. The referee, Mr. Robin Whitfield from England, from the Widnes area, refereeing in his first test match. Gresk, little halfback, all picked off there by Pearce. And again, Pearce involved. Good, tough defence there. France using their 3-quarter line. But Mark Ambert, the second rower, standing out very wide. This is the sort of thing I think that'll take the edge off the Frenchmen if the Kangaroos can keep moving up and knocking them and not letting them get beyond the advantage line. French players, it's been my experience, tend to turn it up a little bit out of frustration. Well, both the hookers with loose arms there, but Australia come up with a scrum win. Sterling. It's Pearce. Wholehearted effort up to the quarter. Australia in a good attacking position. Craig Young. 7-4. Boyd going hard and straight. Pass comes in and it's too low. It hits Growth on the knee, and that's a let off for France. Boyd did marvellously well, nearly taken over the sideline, swung a pass back in. I thought a little hard and certainly a little low. And it's a pity because Growth is one of the very fine handlers. That pass came to him and hit him actually on the knee. And as the ball was grounded in the end goal there by a French player late, it's going to be a line drop to restart. Perez. Beautifully taken there by Brentnell. Posted. Boyd. Invariably gets a pass away to Boyd. Bosted pops up midfield. Krilich. Young. Pearce. Under a head-high tackle. Beautiful running. Gets a pass away. Goes to Growth. Growth taken close to touch. He's only about a foot out. McCabe, Sterling, the run around. Sterling swivels back, gives it to Craig Young. Craig Young's got men on the outside, gives it to Growth. Growth's going hard and straight. It's a try to Australia. Good football there, Craig Young, and good finishing by Growth. Nice switch of play by Sterling when the play had gone across. We'll see that action again, but that's a very important try at that point in time. And here's the way the action came. Pearce was the man that came under a head-high tackle. And a nice lobbing pass out to Growth. Growth then tackled and did well to stay in, pulled his left leg away from the line. The touch judge in quickly to say get off him. McCabe, Sterling, the run around with Morris. Then Sterling swiveled and gave it back to Craig Young, whose steadiness and perfect positional sense got Growth another opportunity to score, which the big fellow took. So 2 tries to Growth in the space of now 11 minutes. Australia move on to 10, France 4. Meninga's brought this about 7 yards outside the quarter and 10 yards in from the sideline. Well, where's the short run? And he's hooked that a touch, and the score remains as it was. Australia 10, France 4.
Mazda 323.
Krilich races over to get the ball down in case they want to do something quickly. Brentnell says no, we'll make that a line kick. Just came off the side of his boot a little bit, that left foot drop punt. Growth playing in number 14. Krilich, Rod Morris. Good defence there by France. And again, good defence. McCabe, strong, hard run there. Into France's quarter. Boyd, Sterling, Pearce. Craig Young. The dummy managed to get a pass away very nicely. No knock-on, says the referee. McCabe has it. Sterling, little grubber kick, ill-directed. And that should be a penalty for offside. It came off Gresk's foot. And another player, Chantal, fell on it in an offside position, but the referee's missed it. A bit of pushing and shoving going on there with Morris and until the referee's seen that one. Gresk was in the clear, but it was given a pass that was an offside pass. If we get a replay of that, I think you'll see that it was a good decision by the referee. Brentnall's going to go left-footed for the right-hand touchline. Up to the quarter now, and that scoreline 10 Australia, 4 France. 2 tries and 2 goals to 2 penalty goals. Kenny. Pearce managed to get a pass away to Kenny. Long floating pass to Growth. Growth can't handle it. Salah gets a foot to it, but it's gone into touch. Another unforced error. That's about 7 or 8 Australians have put down in this match. A player injured over there in the background. And I still see Max Krilich there talking to Les Boyd and quietening him down a little bit over something. Guy Lassorg, second rower, being treated there by the French trainer. And that really shouldn't be a stoppage. He's not going to interfere with the scrum. French players having the opportunity now to clean their mouths out and wipe their face and then suck the sponge. Good for the hepatitis. Well, there's been no sign at all of a back down by this French team. They are committed to tackling the Kangaroos, as they say. Every time they can get their hands on a green and gold jersey, they're going to put it on the ground. And for that, I'm very happy, because we saw some paltry defence in England. Perez. The penalty for feet across. Just over the halfway line. Gresk and Girard. Little man Gresk always involved. Girard then away to Gui, the centre. A solid defence driven backwards. Moving the ball quite well, quite smartly. Craig Young getting his legs mixed up with Max Chantal. Bad pass along the ground, but picked up there nicely by Gui. Henri Daniel doing his best to trip up Krilich. And that's the 6th. (10-4) the score. Australia lead. 2 tries and 2 goals. Both tries to Eric Growth. Both the goals to Mal Meninga. And for the French side, 2 penalty goals to Perez. Andre Perez, their fullback. Another scrum win to France. Perez, the fullback, has chimed in. Gets it away there to Delay, and a very good tackle from Kenny puts him away. The crowd really setting up a chant now as Guy Lassorg goes ahead. Gresk until Christian McCarley. Sterling the tackler. Ruslanbrook. Play about 11-12 yards out from the Australian line. Irv Giro. The bomb being put up. Number 12 coming through there is offside. Lassorg. Brentnall takes it as you'd expect always. He's got himself into the field of play. The Kangaroos are doing their best to make sure he's there. He is there. And the referee is still going to give a line dropout. And that is Rogers is questioning the decision. You can see where Brentnall is. He's actually in the field of play. The referee's saying he pushed himself back. But look at number 12. He was offside and should have been penalised. Brentnall flew for that. Totally committed. Up against the goalpost there. There's the Stacks on the Mill trying to keep him into the field of play so that he'd have to play the ball, not the line drop out, and France get the ball, of course. Chantal. Gress. Hervé Guiraud. Roestenbroek. That's a pass that's gone forward. The referee's missed it. I hope he doesn't miss that one. That's 2 and 2 passes. That last pass was about 2 feet forward. And the referee's seen that one. I thought the first one was too. The crowd whistling their disapproval. See it again now as Hervé Guiraud gets a pass to Gresk, and the swivel pass he gave back on the inside to Guy Delaunay was the one that was offside. Failure to get touch is a bad error. Philippe Foucard. Gardassog. Crowd really setting up a count now as this French side making some inroads. Roestenbroek right through. And only about 7 yards out from the Australian line. France on the boil now. Gress. Marc Ambert. About 7 yards away still. Now he's walked a few yards off the mark. Max Chantal. The line, the second one. Gress. Hervé Guiraud. Roestenbroek puts it down. The referee allowing play to proceed. Hervé Guiraud, the 5'8". And that's the 6th. And a round of applause there as I think McCabe's in trouble with a cut over the eye. Alf Richards is on the field at the moment having a close look at it. A bit of blood coming out of there. Might be that we see a replacement. That would probably be Ray Brown. Australia lead. Pearce did well to take that. Boyd has it now. Good step for a big man. Ray Brown. Back inside to Morris. On then to Krilic. Got Rogers there. The pass has gone forward. Quite rightly. Then pulled back. That pass from Krilic to Rogers. Quite definitely an offside pass. And here's the break. Krilic had tons of time to do it and threw it at least a metre forward. Go back to the action. France have the ball 10 yards their own side of halfway, 8 yards their own side of halfway. Gress. Guiraud. Gress again, handled the ball more than any other French player. This guy, the Sorg, playing in his third test, comes on the burst. Sterling over the top. Krilic down below. Maccabi. The Kangaroos just showing signs of tiredness. Enormous strain, believe me, trying to keep an undefeated record. It really is a thing that's not easy to do. There's Gress getting away a kick that was of no value at all to his side. Didn't go forward, didn't put anyone under any pressure. And Meninga's come up with the ball for Australia. Passed badly to Recton over the top. And Brentnell was the offender on that occasion. Both sides squandering possession there with, shall we say, unforced errors. Penalty against Ivan Gresk for an incorrect feed. Brentnell coming up to drive the ball down that right-hand touchline. Got about 25 minutes of this game. And they'll be looking for another try. Boyd. Ray Brown. Holds the pass up, gets it away to Morris eventually on the burst. French have stuck to their guns defensively. Craig Young back into Pearce. Not the free-flowing football, but they're been up against a much better defence. And there's another unforced error. Too many mistakes like that today, which I'm sure won't bring a smile to the face of Frank Stanton. And a slight letdown after the England test. And again, says the referee, Mr. Robin Whitfield. A bit of trouble with those front rows. Penalty to France. Couldn't see the signal. Feet across. Perez drives that down field and makes a gain of only about 11 yards there. That wasn't a great kick. The thin green line comes up, straight and hard, as they've been doing now for the whole of this tour. Extraordinary defensive record. Gresk. And there. Gresk again. Very much the dummy half there, and there's some solid defence driving Rustenbrook backwards. French captain. He's played strongly. Henri Daniel. And that's the sixth. Well, the variety in the French side is infinitely more than we've seen in the Great Britain team. They've used the kick on numerous occasions. They've switched the ball back on the inside. The only one they haven't used to any great degree is just quick hands along the line to try to get somebody an overlap out wide, bringing a fullback in. There's the pass back on the inside to Rustenbrook. So all the tricks around the scrum. Max Chantal has been one of the goers in the team. He's had 13 tests as a prop. He comes from the Villeneuve club, which is one of the champion clubs. There's an unforced error, and Ray Brown has it. Number 10, Chantal, would be penalised. A little bit annoyed at making that unforced error. Sterling. Krilich. Might be back into Craig Young. Boyd. Morris. Good strong run. Up towards the quarter. France is in. Krilich. It's a pass back inside to Ray Brown. Brown's got it onto Pearce, and Pearce is going to score, despite the attempt at a kick at his leg by a French player. We'll see that on the replay. Pearce is not worried. He scored the try, but there was a pretty nasty kick went in there. And you'll see it from the player coming in on the left from behind him. Watch the way Krilich sets up the play. We changed camera angle there, unfortunately, at that point. The pass went back into Ray Brown, the replacement, then to Pearce. Look for number 2 here. Watch him lash out with his leg. Trying to kick Pearce's leg from underneath him. That would have made it a 7-point try, in my view. It's not going to. It'll be just a conventional 3-pointer. And it looking a little bit like the Battle of Waterloo at the moment, with players down. So Meninga with a simple kick. 13 points to 4, Australia lead. About 9.5 minutes unofficial time to go. Very easily converted, so Australia move on to 15. And France still on 4. Australie 15, France 4. French side taking a long while to get the play back to halfway. And they've got a replacement on there now, number 15. Christian Le Mans. And the player being replaced there is number 11, Mark Ambach. Christian Le Mans comes from the city of Villefranche, that's where Ron Willey, the former North Sydney coach, is presently coaching during his off-season, and I've told he's got his team up to the lead in their competition. So Ron Willey working his coaching magic over there, having done a pretty good job with North Sydney this year. But moves on to South Sydney, of course, for 1983. Prilich surveying the field there. 15 points to 4 with about 8 minutes to go. Should be a little bit too much, I think, for France. Boasted taking in a top tackle. And nothing wrong with that sort of defence. Scrum about 14 yards out from the French quarter. Ivan Grest to feed. France win it. Rusenbrook picks it up at the base of the scrum. He's the lock. Round the tackler. Herb Guiraud gets knocked down. Craig Young comes in hard. Guy Delaunay, the centre. He's going to play that forward and change his mind. Well, there's a bad error. That the pass really was expected to go to number 12 there, Guy Lassaugny, and it went across him to the replacement player. Referee having a chat there in the middle of the scrum. I think we might have another player about to be replaced. It's Philippe Foucard coming off. Well, the referee's blown that scrum up after Gresk haired off like a rabbit. I think Gresk, who's quite dark, comes from Algeria originally. Sterling begrudgingly giving him the ball. Halfbacks will be halfbacks, of course. Kick not great. Looked at only a gain of about 8 yards. Official time, about 5 minutes to go. Australia leading 15-4. And this will make 4 test wins from 4 played. If they can hang on for the next 5 minutes. Or if France can do something dramatic. What do you do here? Number 8. Slight alteration in the pattern there. And number 12 there, Guy Lassaugny, the second rower, tends to try to hurdle defenders. Raises his knees right up. Holding the tackle player, failing to let him get to his feet. crowd would dearly love to see their side score a try. There's a lot of publicity in the papers over here about the defensive capabilities of this Kangaroo side. I think they'd be as happy as a win if they could get a try. Number 8, Henri Daniel. And of course, just as adamant the Kangaroos are to keep their terrific defensive record intact. Rest a little knock on and strongly tackled. He's played by Rod Morris. The Kangaroos look a tired team. They have had a pretty solid row to hoe, and some of the players are carrying injuries into these games. But it's a penalty to Australia. Feet. And they're obviously coasting now. And who can blame them? There will have been no more successful Kangaroo side ever gone away in the history of touring teams to England and the continent than this side. They have done it all. The opposition, of course, in many instances is not what it used to be, perhaps, but a team can only do as well as it's allowed to. Kenny pass away, it's been real forward to both ends, and of course the couple of tries they've had pulled back could have resulted in another 10 points because they were both going to be underneath the posts. You'll recollect the one where the pass went from Pillage to Rogers earlier, and it was pulled back. That was underneath the posts. And this one that's just been pulled back, when Kenny's pass was ruled, I think and believe the referee was correct in that. Watch the quarter line. Yes, I'd say that was a good decision, although Bowes put his arm back behind him to take the pass. It was still forward, and that could have made the score a lot more convincing in their favour, that extra 10 points. Patrick Solau with a slight knee problem. Into the dying stages. The first test of the 1982 Kangaroo Tour of France at the city of Avignon. Well, I would hope that that's going to be a knock-on or Australia's ball, because if France come up with it, it would have had to have been a knock-on. Well, they do, and the referee's missed it. Managed to get himself in there somehow or other. Henri Daniel likes to do it on his own round the ruck. Likes also to walk a few yards off the mark. I guess if the referee will allow you to do it, and I'm not criticising the referee there, but I think he's been eminently fair and done a fairly good job. But he does allow players to walk off the mark quite a lot. Guy Lasugny, second rower, with a high knee action. And offside among the Australian backs. Big tap taken by Gress, play on to his left. Goes the blind side, gets it to Christian Makali. Solid defence there on the quarter. The time running fair out for the French side. Eric Groth fields the ball, takes it over the sideline. And can't be very long to go now. The try scorers for the Australian side have been Eric Groth 2 and Wayne Pearce 1. Nick has been successful with 3 goals, making up their tally of 15 points. For the French side, Perez with 2 penalty goals, making their 4 points. Sterling to feed. Picks it up, works the blind side. Good step. Bretnell. And another unforced error. It's a little bit out of character. And that's the end of the test match at Avignon. Australia have kept their test match record intact. And as Gress goes over and claims the ball, he obviously wants that. So from Avignon, Australia 15-4.
With a roundup of major sporting events, here's Rex Mossop.
Hello there, welcome to Sports World, and it's nice to be back with you again after a 7-week. I hope you've enjoyed the telecast of the French test that we've just shown you. You wouldn't believe we had the fun of Cork getting that one out here. In this era of being able to put men on the moon, we couldn't get a tape out from France here in time. Anytime we have any dealings with the French television people, it just falls in a heap, the whole thing. And the tape arrived only yesterday, and we had God's own job, pardon the expletive there, of getting a tape, an audio track put on it. Really, it's very difficult. I'd like to publicly thank Mike Raymond in one way for looking after the show so well for me while he did, but he spoilt my chair. He's broken my chair, and Dave, what am I going to do?
Well, just screw up.
Well, it's a bit difficult. You know, you go away with a nice strong chair, and in comes Mike and breaks your chair while you're away. So I'm a bit unhappy about that, Mike, and it'll be off from your experience. Apparently enjoyed himself last weekend on an opposition show, sending up the old brigade of the rugby league footballers in general and me in particular. According to this laddie, back in my era, we used to entertain ourselves on tours by getting drunk and having competitions hitting our heads against walls. Well, I was alleged to have done it so hard on one occasion that I knocked myself out. Now, I'm sorry to disillusion those of simple mind and wit who may have believed this garbage, but I was never tough enough for that sort of caper. I can assure you that this positively never happened in my experience. Another inference by this fellow that the players of the 50s and 60s were brainless physical apes is garbage. There were no more dimwits playing football then than there are radio and TV personalities these days. All right, the next thing that I'd like to talk about is the business of comparison of sportsmen of different eras. Now, presently, the big contentious issue is which is the best Australian touring side, rugby league side, to leave our shores, 63 or the still touring 82 Kangaroos. Now, the present side have the best credentials and a record no one will ever beat. They are undefeated after 19 games. That's 3 tests against England and 1 against France. They've got a superb defensive record and great attacking credentials. Certainly, the 63 side's record is not as great as the 82 side. They lost 7 matches from the 36 they contested, but they played a lot more games. It's in the area of opposition that the difference stands out. Now, I've got a long personal experience of English conditions as a player and a commentator. I played there with the league club for nearly 4 years back in the 50s, been back in 59 as a player, in 60 as a player on the Kangaroo and World Cup tours, and then in 72, 78 and 82 as a commentator. So I think I'm in a position to be able to say that the English Rugby League is, in my view, at an all-time low as far as skill and physical condition and individual stars are concerned. The opposition in the previous areas that I mentioned were infinitely better off for big names, skill, and the gap in physical condition was nowhere near as apparent or wide. Now, I'm not going to be drawn into the argument on the relative merits of the Rapers and the Prices or the Gaffneys or Meningas or Bosteds, Irvines, Youngs or Kellys. All were or are great players. Now, all I'm going to say is that this present Kangaroo team is the fittest one that I've ever seen. And to Captain Max Critch and the coach Frank Stanton, who between them have kept the discipline tight and the dedication unwavering, I say, well done. Of the players, almost all played well. However, Canescu was not a success in England, and Rod Morris evidently arrived with neck trouble. Of the balance, I'd like to rap Craig Young for his solid professionalism in the front row, great performances. Rod Reddy for the greatest comeback since Sarah Bernhardt. Wayne Pearce for being the forerunner of a new type of fleet-footed running forward who will eventually supersede the big men in the six-tackle rugby league. The Growth Mobile, Eric Growth, for showing the English public a new dimension in speed and great handling out wide. The little tiny midget, Mal Meninga, who performed prodigious deeds in devastating the English so-called defence. And in conclusion, I make this request to Ray Price, who straight answers on Sports World last week about some of the Australian Rugby League touring media, was resented to such an extent that he was the subject of a full column by one locally based journalist telling Ray Price what a bore he was. Well, you keep it up, Pricey. You didn't say anything that wasn't factual. Anyway, back to my request. Ray Price, you should make arrangements now to leave your heart and vital organs to science. I genuinely believe, Ray, that you're a freak. I've never seen a player with a higher work rate in any code of football before, and science should be allowed to see exactly what makes him tick so effectively. So, Ray, leave it to the Sydney University or Macquarie, wherever you want to go. Now, I've got a very great deal of pleasure in having a man with no television experience at all on the show, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Ned Kelly.
Thank you, Rex. What a letdown.
What a letdown. Congratulations. I told you did a good job while I was away, and it was good to hear the nice reports on your performance. So good. And
do
you
I
enjoyed
get paid
yourself? No, you're not going to get paid. That's why I'm thanking you on camera.
Well, do I get the goodies at the end of the day?
I'll give you some goodies at the end of the day. Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, yes, Rex. It's not my go, I think, but still we seem to have filled the bill all right, so that's the
Right. You were a member of the 1963 Kangaroos side. And let's have a look at the picture of it now. And there's some very big names in this team. There they are, looking very smart and chipper at the start of their tour. You might like to run through the side. Can you remember it in full?
Well, there was Gasnier, Irvine, Wells, Gasnier, Irvine, Langlands, Kevin Smythe, Raper, Dick and Ken Thornett. I can't see the names from here. You give them a bit of a rundown.
Where's John?
Letty Johns, Irvine, Diamond, Cleary, Rushworth, Gleeson, Lyle, Muir, Stanton, now the coach. Arthur Summons was the captain. Dick Thornett, Brian Hambley, Kenny Day, Graham Wilson, Paul Quinn, Kevin Ryan, myself, and Ian Walsh.
With apologies to any you might have forgotten.
Yeah, I might have missed out on a couple there.
Well, now, how do you rate the sides? And how do you rate the opposition?
Well, you couldn't rate the opposition, Rex. I believe, and I've only seen it from the film, but I mean, the opposition was non-existent on a lot of occasions, and I thought that the neutral referee certainly equalised things as far as Australia was concerned. But I don't know whether you can compare in any fair way the 1963 Kangaroos and the 1982 Kangaroos, because there's a different set of rules now. I think the living standards and the time you spend away are a lot, things to be added up. Right now, I would say, probably in France, everyone's that's keen to get home, that they'd all be getting a bit grouchy. Now, I think once you turn to leave England, that you should, come straight home. But I would say that they're, after watching the test this morning, they're just playing good enough to get it over and done with and just keep their winning record.
Do you believe it'll be better in future to have the French side of the tour out of the way and then go to England where their boys are more at home?
Well, I would think so, Rex. I think there's the language barrier in France. Not only that, everyone wants to get home for Christmas, but I think that if you went to France first, I think, and then to England, and then once you achieve the goal of beating the Poms, straight home.
Well, just repeating those scores since they've got to, in their 19 games, they've won 19 up to now, and the incredible thing is, of course, that the scores, 65-0 against Roanne, 15-4 against France. We'll show you some highlights of that first French test, 67-2 against Albi, and then under 24s, they defeated 42-3. They've got a tough game against Catalans today, or in about 8 hours' time, and then another game they should win by 100 points early in the week, and then the next test later on next weekend.
Rex, I asked Ray Price last week, and you saw the third test. Do you think that the French referee would have, an English referee in that place, would have sent off the Pommy forward, or would have made England win that game?
I don't know that a Pommy referee would have sent him off. I don't even know whether an Australian referee would have sent him off, to be quite honest. I don't know whether it was bad enough to be sent off in the way the game was going. There'd been a little bit of heat and a little bit of violence when he finally got walked, and I was surprised that an Australian may not have gone with him.
But the 10-3 penalties at half-time, Australia in front, would that have happened, do you think, with a Pommy referee?
No, certainly not.
No.
Not inferring that they cheat, but there would a different interpretation.
I'm inferring.
You're inferring. You've always been a bit blunter than me. The point I'm making is that Mr. Rascagney saw things very black and very white. He was very, very good in his refereeing, proving that French referees can be as good when they're straight up and down as any referee in the world. Technically, he was very sound.
Well, as that Frenchman said that came out here during the season, he said that they hadn't even been taught over there. They've put a bit of work into this fella.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the highlights of the French test. We showed the game in full this morning between 9:30 and the start of this show, but you'll see some of the highlights of the tries that were scored. The two to Growth, and here's the first one coming up. He'd just come on as a replacement for Lewis. Goes through the first tackle, the second tackle, and the momentum of his fen pushed him over the line. It was beautiful run by the big fella. He really has been a quality player, right?
There's certainly been some good players over there. But I think I watched this whole game this morning, and it just appeared to me as if the Aussies were just happy to keep that unbeaten record intact, Rex, and you'll see some pretty unforced errors in it, isn't there?
A lot of out of character football.
Yeah, sure.
This bloke's been, I believe, Craig Young is probably the greatest success story on the tour. Do you know that?
Yet you don't hear much of it. Well, that's normal for front rowers.
People don't appreciate front row forward play. I do. I played in that position for a long while, and I played behind a lot of great front rowers. And he is a great front row forward. There's no question about it. In any era, he would have been a good one.
I think the same about Max Krilich. Rex, I think he's been an outstanding success on this for someone who was got a bit of a bagging and he couldn't make the Manly side when he left,
Well, there he goes. He throws a forward pass there. That should have been a 5-pointer under the post, but the pass went forward. But he was involved in the last try to Pearce, very much involved. And Boydie's had a fine tour. So long as they can keep him under control, he's got an absolutely inflamed temper. He can't see anything in other than violent terms when he's on a football
Well,
field.
you might recall when he did kick that bloke back, you know, and I feel that I would have done that, you know, and I feel that a lot of other people would have done it
I
too.
know you a lot better than I know Les Boyd. I know Les Boyd perfunctorily, just through meeting him and interviewing him and so forth. I know you well because you and I roomed together and I used to do your washing. I remember very well. It was a very funny arrangement we had over there, like the odd couple.
I didn't think there was anything that funny about it.
Well, I thought you were rather gay, actually. But anyway, you wouldn't have kicked there. You would have fallen straight on top of that fella and belted him. I know you only too well. I've seen you do that. You would never have kicked. Les does those sort of things just like that. Because, not that he's a dirty footballer. He's just got one of those temperaments that just goes bang and explodes. He was kicked, so I kicked back. You wouldn't have. You'd have gone bang.
Well, maybe I'd have kicked him first.
Well, you might have kicked him. If you'd kicked him, I hesitate to think where his head might have finished. You might have got a field goal there. But you obviously are reluctant to have your 63 side passed off as no longer the greatest Kangaroo side.
Well, I can't believe that they're not. I think man for man, when I sit it down, I think there's some great players in this side, you know, and I think their performances are outstanding, and I'd hate to take anything away from it. But the 1963 Kangaroos, they played against some opposition, didn't they?
They did indeed.
And like when you consider that there was Irvine, Diamond, and Cleary, you know, not bad wingers, and against today, I don't think these fellas will be anywhere near as good as them. You know? There was Gasnier, and even Chang could play fullback or centre, you know, equally as well, and be a champion while he did it, you know, and like Raper and characters like that. Then you had the likes of Ronnie Coote, and you know, and you talk about good players. Just after that, there was Billy Smith. So when you compare players, you know, of that era with players of this era, by hell, the 60s would take a lot of beating, I think. And let's face it, we had damn good football in the 60s.
No question about it. Well, basically, the 59 team that I went away with was the sort of that was the nursery for the 63, wasn't it?
Well,
because there were so many young guys.
Well, there's the World Cup in between too, as well, wasn't
that's
it?
right. They were all 18, 19, 20-year-olds. There were so many of them on that 59 tour, weren't
Well, out of the 1959 side, Rex, you'd probably the nucleus of that played till about 1969, you know.
That's right, so they did. So you and I are going to have to go along with the fact that there are now two great sides, and there's always going to be argument about between the 63 and 82 side. The main problem is how do you compare the opposition? And the present, take my word, as somebody I think I can call myself an expert on English conditions, this English situation at the moment is pathetic. Their standard is abysmal. Back in 63, the standard was pretty high.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ray Price said last week, I asked him how long it took them to wake up the fact that the Englishmen were so bad and unfit. He said 2 games. He said all you had to do was hang on.
Yeah, right. Well, let's have a look at the Kangaroo Tour results on Telemation because I think they are really good to look at if you're an Australian, that is. But they've won the 19 games they've played so far. In France, well, let's go right from the top then. 30-10, 13-9 against Barrow, 29-2 against St Helens, 32-0. The Leeds, 31-4. Australia, Wales, 37-7. 40-4 against England first test. Australia, Lee, 44-4. 13-6 against Bradford, the only real tough game. 41-2. 22-5 against Fulham. 13-7 against Hull, another fairly tough game. 27-6. 19-6. 32-8. And then we come to Disneyland. 65-0 against Roanne. 15-4 against France. 67-2 against Albi. And against the French under-24 side, 42-3. Now, Barry Ross rang me this morning from France. Noel, you'll be interested to hear the Kangaroos' next match is in about 7 or 8 hours' time against Catalans. 5 of the first test Frenchmen playing here. The game is at Perpignan, which is in the south of France. The referee is Mr. Rascagny, the first, second and third test referee in England, you'll recollect. A lot of injuries in the Kangaroo side at the moment. Craig Young's got a shoulder problem. Rod Morris a broken rib. Wally Lewis dislocated a collarbone, of course. Steve Rogers a very infected foot, which makes him very doubtful for the test next week. Gene Miles a leg injury, and Kenny has got bruised ribs that he's receiving constant treatment for. Now, for this game against Catalans, both McCabe and Pearce will be playing with injuries. Pearce has got a bad ankle, and McCabe has got a cut head and he had slight concussion. Tuesday against Pamiers, that's P-A-M-I-E-R-S, it's expected to be another walkover, 60 or 70 points. Reddy has overcome his hamstring problems. He played the last 15 minutes in the last match. Now, just a few statistics on try scoring, if we can take the time. Rebo has scored 50 tries for the calendar year. 50 tries in a calendar year, that's more than you scored in your career.
Oh, yes, but I wasn't around for
Oh,
that.
yes, say what you will. 22 tries on the Tour of England and France, 20 tries for Manly, 1 for City and Country, 2 for Queensland and 5 in the Tooth Cup. Meninga has scored 135 points on the Tour, Rebo 106 points on the Tour, Ella has scored 20 tries, Rebo 22, Growth 21, and the fantastic try scoring continues since the Tour started. They've scored 707 points, 96 against, 167 tries for, 9 tries against. That's including all the tries in the 21 matches so far with 3 games to go. And so it goes on and on and on.
I think I might give in. That might be the best kangaroo side that's ever been away.
That's certainly great. I just want to show you 3 things. I know I'm running a bit over time, but we'll just take it off Mike Raymond's segment. Don't worry about it. Mike Raymond. Just want to show you 3 graphics. Have a look at this. This is, oh, charming, the LA Rams cheer squad. And I could almost change codes for that. I very nearly left home when I was in LA on the way home. When I saw those gorgeous girls posturing around, it was more than my old blood could take, and it bubbled in my veins. It really did. They were gorgeous. I'd next like to show you a very ordinary looking stadium. That's the Anaheim Stadium, the home of the LA Rams on the right. See the pathetic parking and the miserable accommodation for 65,000. And can I just show you this for your private boxes? Here is your menu. Not your chips and pies, very nice meals at reasonable prices. This is all inside the boxes, inside the ground. And there's just a little sample. Executive suite menu, and there it all through is. It's just, we are so far behind in facilities, it just makes you ill. It just makes you wonder how you're ever going to get onto anything up to date. All right, Noel, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Frank. Just before I do go, I'd just like to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a bright new year. All those people in that accident of mine with that boat out in the hospital at Mona Vale, I hope everything's okay out
Yeah,
there.
I want to talk to you about that. I want to borrow your boat. All right, so bad luck about Noel's boat. Okay, just before we go, Noel's going to get a cooler bag from Tooth and Company, a delicious ham from MePro, a small goods specialist, and at this time of the year that's going to be very acceptable, available at all Safeway stores. A pair of Dunlop Volley International sports shoes, they cover the ground more without costing the earth. A 4-litre cask of Patra orange juice, the big fresh taste. Brewed toiletries by Fabergé. From Schweppes, the greatest name in the soft drinks business, soda, tonic, dry, and the new one, the Mineral Spa. 3 Schweppes mixes, or 4 now, that makes the mix with the best, and a Sports World keyring for your edification. Good luck, mate. Now to
Thanks.
Michael Raymond.